action.
Welcome to another episode of How to Fix It Yourself with Dave and Dave. Today we're going to be looking at the F-150 pickup truck again. Another repair on this particular truck. And so we're going to be talking about the inner door panel and removing that as well. I know there's a lot of questions out there about how to remove an inner door panel and what you need to do, so we'll be going through that in some detail as well. Once you get the inner door panel off, replacing this particular mirror is very straightforward because it's not an electric mirror or an internal adjustable mirror, and so it just has screws that just hold it on. So that's the reason we need to take the inner door panel off, is to get to one of the screws that holds this mirror on. All right, so in removing a door panel, and this is fairly true of almost any car, they hook down over the inner frame of the door, and so you have to lift it up to get it to come loose. And it'll be different on different cars, but in general, you're going to have some kind of clips that's going to hold it into the door frame, and usually one or two screws. On this particular panel, there's more than that. So we have a screw over here that we have to remove. There's a screw down here in the handle grip. That's pretty common on most cars. That's a good spot to look for a screw. Then on this particular one, they have screws going down around the bottoms. Now on more modern cars, these will all be clips that go down around here. There's 5 of them. And then there's some clips that go in behind here. Now, we had the door panel off a little bit earlier, and I did put one clip in here just so that we can see about removing a clip. Now, the tools I like to use for removing a clip, this is one that's very, very common. I tend to prefer the plastic ones. They're thinner, and you can get in a little bit easier. Now, on these older doors, very likely the plastic is all rotted, and so you'll probably not be able to salvage any clips. If it's a new car within a few years, you can possibly salvage the clips. Now, what you need to do is determine where the clips are. And so you'll want to get your tool in here and start kind of prying carefully and see if you can determine where the clips are. The closer you can determine a clip, then you're going to be able to get it loose without bending or breaking the rest of the plastic on this particular one. Now, if you have one that is leather, it's most likely wrapped around a very stiff board of some kind, and you could even tear up the board if you're not careful. So one of the clips is right in here, and so you see how I just very gently work on pulling that apart. Depending upon how the clip is located, sometimes this one will work a little bit better, but that clip that I just popped loose is right there. Now, that's one I installed before we shot this part of the video. The rest of the clips have all broken, and you'll see that when we take the door panel off. Now, when you take a door panel off, inevitably, especially on more modern cars, you're going to have a variety of wires behind there. You're going to have, for this one, you've got the automatic windows, you've got the automatic door locks. So just be aware that you're going to have wires running behind the door panel. Again, we've got to pick it up. If you've got locks that are up on top like this, you need to be able to clear the lock. Some people like to push it down to make it easier to clear that lock. I'm going to do that so that it just makes it simpler. We also, on this particular one, the door handle has to go back through here. So this one, we've got to move the whole door this way, and we've got to move it, because there's not a lot of clearance in here, we've got to move it fairly close to the frame. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and start lifting up the panel, start rocking it a little bit, getting it up and out. So I had to clear the wing mirror. On more modern cars, you won't have that issue, but on this one you do. Now we're being hooked here by the door handle, so we're going to just very gently start working it. Come on. There we go. Off of there. Now we just start working it across. And now the door handle is popped loose. Make sure that any of the little fibers that they use on this particular vehicle are cleared around the door handle so it'll come off. And now we've got the door cleared, and you can now see the wires that are running through here that you need to be careful about. Additionally, you can see how all these other clips have broken off free, and the only one that's in here is this one that I installed. Now, depending upon what you're removing the door panel for, will depend on how much room you need. In most cases, if you're working on fixing a window, motor or lift mechanism in order to make your window go up and down, or if you're working on the door latch or the lock system, you're going to need to get the door panel completely away from the door, which means you're going to have to disconnect the cables in order to make sure that you can just walk away with the door. In this case, because we're only looking for this screw right here in order to fix the mirror, we don't need to get that completely away from here. But just be aware that in most cases, be prepared to disconnect all the harnesses so you can remove the door panel completely. So just take a flathead screwdriver to get the old one out, and it'll just take a little prying and it'll come right out. Now, what I recommend, so you can get a set like this from Amazon for, I think I paid 12 bucks for this one, maybe $13 for this one, and you get a lot of options. I've got some other sets that for different vehicles and for different options. So you can get, a couple of 2 or 3 different option sets like this and be covered just about for any car you want for, $12, $15 a set, and it just saves you a lot of time. If you go down and buy a package of 4 from the automotive store, you may be able to spend 20 bucks for just 4. So this is a much better deal, get you a better setup. So for this particular car, we're using this connector right here. So you notice it has the cap on the bottom to go through there, and then it's got the nice skirt to help seal it in. So in order to put that one together, you just take and just slide it in. Come on. There it goes. Just slide it in, and now it's in place, and it'll slide into the hole in the door just nicely. So we're going to go ahead and pop the other ones out. Like I say, when on older vehicles, you probably can't salvage these. They'll probably break. And even on newer vehicles, they might be garbaged up on the little screens here, and you may want to replace it anyway. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and then we'll come back to you after we get them all ready to go in. So remember, you've got the cables here, so you need to be sure to keep the cables on the back side of your handle as you set this in. So, and again, you've got to be this way a little bit in order to get your handle there. One thing that can help is if you put your finger through, you can kind of feel where the handle is, so it is a little easier to guide it into the slot. So you can kind of get it in there. All right, there we go. So now we've got it through there. Now we can pick it up a little bit. Make sure you get it over the top. Here, slide it over. Make sure you've got your lock mechanism there. Kind of line it up, and you can kind of make sure that your first couple of clips are lined up with the holes, and just pop it in. Remember, there's a clip down there, and there's the clip there and the clip there. So now we've got the clips in, and our door is fundamentally on. Now we'll go ahead and put the screws in down here, and that'll wrap things up. I'm going to go ahead, because there was a lot of screws missing, I'm going to go ahead and use a screw kit that I've got. It's all Phillips number 2, and we'll use these shorter ones just so we don't have as much turning to do to get them set in. So we'll go ahead and do that now, and then we'll be all done. Of course, at this point you might want to make sure that your door locks is still working, and before you get too far. All right, so now we've got the door panel back in. We've got all the screws across the bottom and in the handle here. We've got the weather stripping back in. So we've got a good solid door panel. So this will help you understand how to take a door panel off and how to put it on. Then you can work on a number of items inside the door, whether it be the latch mechanism, the locks, in this case replacing a mirror. There's all kinds of things that you might need to do. Switches are a very common item that need to be worked on, so that might be one item there. Hopefully with this car you wouldn't have to take the door panel off. You can undo the this switch mechanism right there. But this will give you a good idea. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please be sure you subscribe to the channel. Use our links below to buy anything. It helps us make sure we can pay for doing these videos for you. Thank you very much, and hope you have a good day.